Greetings, friends. I wish you all a blessed and peace-filled Christmas. James Finlay describes that although there was no room for him in the inn, Jesus was born anyway. But this birth of the divine child was only recognized by those who interrupted the ordinary momentum of their lives and intentionally journeyed to see him. Finlay applies this to our own lives, that even in the cluttered, rushed, what he calls the hurly-burly lifestyle that we lead, Christ is born in our hearts anyway. However, we don't recognize this promise of hope and peace because we're so caught up in the routines of our busy, cluttered, time-driven lives. So we don't see or make room for what has already been given, the gift that we have already received, the divine DNA birthed into and threaded through our humanity as Christ in us. I love the line from one of Michael Card's songs about the birth of Jesus, where he describes that eternity stepped into time. And again, we can ask the question, what would this mean for us to interrupt the ordinary time-driven momentum of our lives so that we make room for this, to recognize and give expression to this birthing of Christ in and through our own lives, for eternity to step into this time? What would it look like for the unforeseeable beyond of God to break through the repeated destructive patterns of human history, giving birth to something new, something fresh? Our conditioning runs so deep that most of the time we are slaves to our past without even noticing this. Neurologically, our brains become shaped and patterned by our experiences, by repetitive thoughts. This forms well-worn pathways that our thoughts and reactions just keep falling into. And so on an individual as well as a more collective level, we end up repeating our past over and over, and we see this played out in our world. And we feel trapped in cycles of behavior that drive us and often fill us with despair when we look at the state of our human condition. This is where the symbolism of the virgin birth is so powerful. If we can get beyond our literalistic arguments and look into the deeper symbolic meaning of so much of this story. But this virgin birth is a really interesting one. That something new is born where there's no human possibility or mechanism to make this happen. And this is symbolic of something breaking through from outside, from deeper than our typical human conditioned choice making. And this is the true meaning of inspiration. Something new breaks through. When we open ourselves in welcome to the beyond of God, to what is beyond time, to the unknown, uncharted spaces of silence and surrender, fresh possibilities can be birthed in and through us, bringing hope into our despair-filled world and eternal newness into our time-worn lives. And if we look at this word inspiration, it is to breathe in the spirit, the ruach breath of God. Breathe the fresh breath of life within us, eternal moment by eternal moment. We're in desperate need for eternity to step into time, for true inspiration to manifest, freeing us individually and collectively from the churning and deepening grooves of our human conditioning that collectively are so filled with trauma, suffering, revenge, hate. And so this asks of us, firstly, a recognition or awareness of our repetitive patterns and narratives that go over and over, and that can especially manifest themselves strongly during family gatherings like Christmas get-togethers. So this is a great opportunity to look for these repetitive patterns that churn over in our minds. And then secondly, an opening of the heart, rather than that usual constricted closing down, defending, resisting against. It's an opening of our heart from that barricaded fear and self-protection, intentionally shifting, softening out of those constricted patterns and making instead a choice for something fresh to breathe through us, this inspiration of the Spirit, and making fresh choices of understanding, kindness, and compassion. That always allows something fresh to come into stale old patterns. And thirdly, it also asks of us a slowing and a quietening so that we can hear the gentle whisper from beyond. We have to clear space of the noise and the rush and the clutter to allow this freshness to break through from the realm that's beyond all of our tight constrictions, to break through our entrenched conditioned patterns with this new birthing of what is possible. And so this Christmas, may we be open to the freshness of a new voice, a fresh stirring in our hearts, in our inner beings, so that eternity may once again step into time, in and through us, to inspire us with the birthing of Christ as Emmanuel, God with us, manifesting hope, love and joy amidst the wreckage of our time-worn and grief-stricken world. And so through the rest of this online service, we'll go into the time of reading the Christmas stories intermingled with music. And I want to extend an invitation to you to listen to the stories of Jesus' birth in a fresh way, if you can. Letting go of your old understandings or your resistance to some of the old understandings, and allowing something fresh to break through. Allow yourself to be open to inspiration. It might just be one word that stands out for you that just brings up something fresh, that feels like a new invitation. Let the light of fresh awareness shine through as you open yourself to the sacred, to the possibility of a new inspiration, the divine hope of Emmanuel, God with us, as a lived unfolding from within our own deepest selves. Amen.